This is the 10-Minute Law Firm Podcast, brought to you by Rocket Matter.
Hey everybody, I'm Larry Port, CEO of Rocket Matter, and this is the 10-Minute Law Firm Podcast. I have with me today our special guest, Adam Holden, who is the Director of Payments with LexCharge, who is the payment processor that we use here at Rocket Matter. So Adam, welcome to the program.
Hey, what's going on, Larry? Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I wanted to have Adam on the program because we just had a very well-attended webinar. I think we had something like over 600 registrants where we talked about the ethics of credit card processing for attorneys. It's posted to the Rocket Matter site on our resources tab, and we'll put the link on the show notes. So it was a great, we did a very in-depth hour on kind of the ethical considerations and some of the things going on with payments, passing fees along and model rules and all that good stuff. But we did it in a very funny way. Wouldn't you say, Adam? Wasn't it entertaining?
Yeah, it was. It was entertaining. We made sure that everyone was looped in with questions that we had there.
Yeah.
So we made it fun. As fun as, as payments, we made it. As fun as it can be.
Right. Very cool. Okay. So one thing I wanted to ask you on this thing, on our podcast today, is that we were surprised at the uptick in the amount of people, law firms that are signing up for LexCharge. And we've seen an increase in business. It kind of took us a little bit aback, just like the same way Home Depot was surprised that during COVID, everybody started remodeling their house and gardening. What's going on? In your opinion, why are firms signing up for LexCharge and during COVID?
Yeah, so it's to keep everybody safe. That's the whole basically role that we're trying to take, is keeping everybody safe. The law firms are doing the same thing that we're doing here at LexCharge and Rocket Matter. Making sure our employees are safe, making sure our clients are safe. So basically, the firms are signing up for LexCharge, and basically it's going to be because they don't want to subject their clients to coming into the office, leaving their homes, going into public spaces. So the ability to send links to your client to make a payment, or taking a payment over the phone, simply just keying it in, it has really, taken an uptick. And it's even firms that we have talked to that didn't want to do that in the past. They've now aligned with this to be able to at least, bring in cash and keep everything moving. So that's what we've been seeing.
I guess from a bigger picture, kind of the idea is it's eliminating a lot of the physical nature of receiving payments. So electronic invoicing, electronic payments, which is kind of, I guess when you think about it, it makes total sense. But coming out of the gates in COVID, we just anticipated a drop of business when it's been anything but the opposite.
Right. And I think that just, positioning the digital payments out there, it's going to make things as normal as we possibly can. With keeping the cash coming into the firms, and once again, keeping everybody safe. That's the name of the game.
Now, what are these conversations like? What are you hearing from these law firms? Are you hearing any common stories, or what's it sounding like?
Yeah, it's going to vary from, firm to firm. But basically, we're seeing that, firms are now contacting us, or at least being more receptive to us calling them and updating them about these, about digital payments. But it's more of them just trying to get a grasp on something that they never even thought they would have to use.
Gotcha.
So it's completely new, and we're just going into the different aspects of it, how to use it properly, like we talked about in the webinar, the ethics of it. So basically, that's really the conversations that I'm having. I talked to one firm to where, they're about out $1 million because they haven't actually sent out any of their invoices with payment links or anything else like that, and clients haven't been paying.
Really?
So we actually got them set up last week, and I'm excited to see those numbers of how much money they're going to be able to pull in now that they have the service implemented.
That's exciting. So you're seeing firms that are having acute situations that are trying to learn something brand new for the very first time, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So what are I'm just curious, what kind of hurdles do law firms have when they're in that boat? So never used credit card payments before, trying to wrap my head around it. What is it like for them? What challenges do you see them having?
The biggest challenge, and especially for right now, it's going to be they're adding another cost to doing business when in the past they never had to have this added cost. But the way that I kind of consult them is going to be, yes, you're adding an extra cost, but you're also going to bring in a lot of back bills and back payments that you haven't seen. So, is the $1,000 or $800 in fees worth $20 to $30 to $40,000 worth of income coming into the firm? So we've been balancing that out. We've been going over concerns and kind of like what we touched on in the webinar, passing along those fees to the clients if it's available in that state. Always check with the bar associations in your local states. But we have been giving a little bit of guidance on that.
So that makes a lot of sense. And I guess, there, in terms of passing along the fees, we did this whole ebook on it, which is, I think, a very important reading for people, because there's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to passing along credit card fees to clients. I mean, if you had to kind of just give people like easy advice in terms of that, what would you suggest?
As simple as I can make it, it's going to be going to your local resources, like your bar associations, to make sure that that's, acceptable in your state. And then just make sure you contact your merchant service provider. Ask questions, ask your relationship manager, ask anybody about it that may just have a little bit more information on the inside. That way they can educate.
I mean, just to add to that a little bit, what I would suggest is we do have this ebook on passing along credit card fees. We can post that in the show notes as well.
Yep.
But, in general, there's really 4 different ways of doing it, and you really should get educated on it. It's important because, it's not legal everywhere and so on and so forth. But probably the simplest thing to do is just increase rates to accommodate it. And if you're increasing rates by 3%, that's like a blip on the radar screen for like most clients. So, I mean, I think it's not that big of a deal. So if you do feel the need to reclaim those kind of things, let me ask you also, in terms of payment processing and so on and so forth, what about the jump from paper invoices to electronic invoices? Is that ever an issue for firms? Or do they get confused about that, or is that a non-issue?
It's more, it's not that they get confused, or it's more of just, learning a new way of doing things. As we're progressing with our technologies, they're going to be easier way to do things. So it's mainly just training them in just a different way of sending out the invoices. And to be honest, with our invoice program here at Rocket Matter, as well as LexCharge, you can do your batch invoices and literally run everything as you need it and send it all out at one time, rather than printing invoices or attaching them to individual emails and sending them out one by one. So we've had firms that have been a little, pressed against it, but also we have firms that have literally lit up about it. And it's like the coolest thing since sliced bread. So it's
right. Yeah. And how long does it usually take them to make that transition? Is that a 1-month thing, a 90-day thing, a full year? Like, how long does it take them to really kind of wrap their heads around this and implement the process?
It's going to depend on the size of the firm, as well as how many invoices they do have, because, getting it, grasping the system and getting everything sent out, it takes a little bit of time. We've had firms that have done it in less than a month, but, we do have some firms that we hold their hands for a little bit longer than that. But I would say maybe like a month to a month and a half. Our support team here is awesome. They're going to guide them through those steps. So we can definitely probably do it about a month and a half.
Yeah, I would think so. And obviously it's a little bit about kind of the elbow grease that the firm is willing to put into it, right?
Right. So, right. They want to have to learn. They're going to want to have to learn it if they want to implement it. So,
Now, you offer ACH payments, which is another form of payments in addition to credit cards. So, can you talk, what is an ACH payment for people that don't know?
So an ACH payment, also known in a lot of the technology world as e-checks, it's simply turning a paper check into an electronic check. You're using your routing number and account number along with the check number and then your information. And literally it's going to basically turn it into an electronic check that you can then pass over to the firm, through the portals that we have or through the invoices. For people out there that don't know, ACH stands for Automatic Clearinghouse. That is the clearinghouse that all electronic checks have to go through from bank to bank.
So the nice thing about ACH is that it doesn't require a credit card. On the other hand, credit card payments are received a lot more immediately. You usually get like next day funding, whereas ACH payments have to bounce around the Federal Reserve System until it gets to your bank account, correct?
it's still a check.
Right.
In all terms, it's still a check. So yeah, so we're looking at typically between 3 to 5 days. Most of our merchants usually see it within 3 days. Yeah, but it's just another form to get paid. The more ways you have to get paid, the faster and more likely you are going to get paid.
Awesome. Adam, this is a wealth of information. Again, Adam Holden, the Director of Payments at LexCharge, was our guest on the recent webinar where we spent an hour diving into these issues and talking about the ethics of credit card payments for the people that are very interested in it right now. He's a busy man, but if you want to reach him, Adam, what's the best way to reach out to you?
You can reach me directly if you want to via phone, or you can reach me on my email. It's adam@lexcharge.com. I'll put my phone number out there too. It's 561-405-7821, and you can reach me whenever you need to.
All right. Adam Holden, thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it.
This is the 10-Minute Law Firm Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and don't forget to rate and review so we can keep bringing you awesome content.